Good morning, students. I welcome all of you in this session of English language. Students, this video has been intentionally made by me only for the students from 11th class. Students, you know that the first term will end after 20th of October, but before it, you will have to appear for first term examination. The first term examination will begin from 12th of October in the next week of this academic year. So there may be a variety of doubts, queries regarding the paper pattern or format of activity sheet in each subject. The students may have doubts how will be the activities in activity sheet, how many marks will be for each activity. Actually, the format of activity sheet has already been provided to the students in the classroom, but still, today in this session we are going to discuss what different kinds of activities will be there in the activity sheet in the subject of English language. And similarly, we are also going to discuss how students are expected to write down to respond to each activity in the activity sheet. So, as you know that you are well aware that in our textbook of English language, there are 4 sections: prose section, poetry section, writing skill section and literature. In the activity of 50 marks of the first term examination, there will be a variety of activities based on these 4 sections. You must be familiar with all kinds of activities from the activity sheet. Let's begin with the format of activity sheet in the subject of English language. So let us look at the page of the format of first term activity sheet. This activity sheet is made only for the class 11th in the subject of English. This activity sheet carries 50 marks and the time for attempting all the activities in this activity sheet is 2.5 hours. It means the students will have to solve all the activities within 150 minutes. As we know that there are 4 sections in the textbook of English language, and the activities set in this activity sheet are based on these 4 sections. So 4 sections. The first section, which is entitled as a prose section, below or in the first section, that is prose section, we will have 2 questions. Question number 1A, question number 1B, then question number 2A, and again we will have question number 2B. Let us discuss first of all the activities given in question number 1A. Students, in this question you will have scene passage. Scene passage means you have studied in the classroom the passage from the textbook. We can also say it textual passage. Below this passage you will have 6 activities. Let us discuss one after another. The first activity you will have is global understanding. So in this activity you may have complete the wave chart or state whether the following statements are true or false, or 4 sentences may be given in jumbled order and the students will have to arrange these 4 sentences as per their occurrence in the original extract. This activity carries 2 marks. So the students are advised here that if the wave chart is given, the student must draw that wave chart in their answer sheet as it is given in the activity sheet. And then the student will have to fill up the wave chart on the basis of the given extract. The second activity is complex factual. It also carries 2 marks. So here the activity which is set is little bit tough, difficult, and therefore the answer of this activity is also little bit difficult one. The students need to read the passage twice unless and until they come up with the correct answer. So this is activity number 2. Activity number 3 is interpretation. Here the student has to logically think to find out, to interpret the given statement or the sentence. This activity also carries 2 marks. The fourth activity is personal response. This activity also carries 2 marks. Here the student has to express his own opinion. Here the student should not copy single word or phrase or sentence from the given extract. Whatever the student will write as answer, as a reply, as a response in this activity, that would be purely the student's contribution. The student has to write, has to respond in this activity with the help of his own imagination, with the help of his own thought process. Again, I will advise the students, while attempting A4 activity, which is entitled personal response, the student should not copy single sentence from the original passage. So in the answer, the student has to write down on the basis of his own imagination or thought process. The next activity is language study. Here 2 sentences from the passage are given. These sentences are based on grammar. Whatever topics from the grammar you have studied so far, so these 2 sentences are based on those topics, like add question tag, change the voice, make it affirmative, make it negative, convert into indirect speech, use correct preposition. Like these activities will be here in the language study. While attempting this activity, the student need to be very careful while attempting the activities from the language study. Here you will have 2 sentences. One sentence will have 1 mark and 2 sentences will have 2 marks. The next activity is vocabulary. This activity is based on vocabulary. It also carries 2 marks. Here it is possible that 4 words will be given from the extract, and the students will have to write down either the antonyms or synonyms for those given words. It is also possible that the meaning will be given and the student will have to find out the words which express the meaning given in the activity sheet. It is also possible that in the same activity the words will be given and in those words some letters will be missing, and the student will have to fill up the blank space to form the meaningful words in this activity. It is also possible that the chart will be given, the table will be given with 2 columns. In one column the words will be given, and in the second column, B column, the meanings of those words will be given, and the students will have to match the words with their exact meaning. This is how the activity A6 vocabulary will have to be attempted by the students. In the question number 1B, which is entitled Do as Directed, here the students will have 3 sentences. The first sentence will be given with particular mistake, particular error at the level of preposition, at the level of article, at the level of tense, at the level of correct use of pronouns, at the level of correct use of conjunction. So the error in the sentence might be at any level. The student will have to find out the error that is present in this given sentence. The student will have to correct the sentence and write down in the answer sheet. This activity based on spotting the error will carry 1 mark. So below it, in the activity sheet, you will have 2 sentences. These 2 sentences will be based on the grammar. Here the student will have to insert the appropriate articles or prepositions, or maybe the student will have to transform the given direct sentence into indirect one, or the sentence from any topic from the English grammar. So let us move to the question number 2a. Here the student will have unseen passage. The passage the student has not studied so far in the classroom. This passage will not be from the textbook. It will be non-textual passage. For the first time in the activity sheet, the student will have this unseen passage, and that is why the student will have to read this passage. The student will have to go through this passage unless and until the students comprehend, understand this passage entirely. Because unless and until you comprehend, you understand this passage in a proper way, you cannot attempt, you cannot solve the given activities below it. This passage also, you will have the similar activities as we discussed in question number 1A, global understanding, complex factual, interpretation, personal response, language study and vocabulary. Now let us come to question number 2B. So the title of this activity is summary writing. I am sure that you must have studied this topic in 10th standard, but still we have revised it in the classroom. This activity is based on the passage given in question number 2A. The student need to write the summary of the given passage in 1/3 of its length. So here the students are advised that they should write the summary of the given passage in their own words. The student should not copy and paste the sentences from the given original passage in question number 2A. Here the technical point is that if in the given passage there are 21 sentences, the students will have to write the summary of the given passage near about in 7 sentences or 6 sentences or 8 sentences. The summary should not be too less or too much. After writing the summary of the given passage, the students also need to give the proper appropriate title to the summary, because out of these 3 marks, the activity of summary writing carries 3 marks. For title, the student will have 1 mark, and for summary, the students will have 2 marks. And that is why the students also need to give the appropriate suitable title for the summary writing. Once more, I would like to advise the students should not copy and just paste the sentences from the given original passage. The students are hereby advised to write down the summary of the given passage in their own words. Now let us move to the section number 2, which is entitled Poetry. In this section, you will have the activities based on poems. Students, actually when you attempt the activity sheet of 80 marks, the poetry section is given 14 marks. But as the activity sheet of the first term carries only 50 marks, and that is why we have minimized the number of activities in this activity sheet. In question number 3A and B, the activities are set on poetry section. Here in question number 3A, you will have scene passage, scene extract from the poems, and below that poem you will have 2 activities. The first activity is global understanding, which carries 2 marks. We have already discussed what type of activities are there in this activity entitled global understanding. You may have here the statement, and you will have to justify the statement in the scene passage of the prose section also, and in the scene extract of the poetry also. The student need to go through the poem from the first line to the last line of the given extract. The students need to understand the given poem by heart, and then the student can attempt this activity in proper way. The second activity under the poem, below the poem, will be personal response. I have already discussed how to attempt the activity entitled personal response. On the basis of whatever the students have understood from the given extract of the poem, the students will write down the response, the answer of this activity here. Once again, I will advise the students in this activity, you should not copy the single line from the given poem, or you should not copy the single word from the given extract of the poem. So whatever you will write in the answer sheet as a response, as an answer of this activity, will be the students' contribution. Now let us move to question number 3b. This is very important activity for the students. This activity carries 4 marks. Points are not given. The students have already studied this activity in the 9th and 10th standard. So here the students are given a different poem from the poetry section for appreciation. So here students will appreciate the poem on the basis of the given extract in the activity sheet. Here generally when the students appreciate the poem, the students need to follow the points like this. The students should develop the first point, that is about the title of the poem. Here the students need to justify how the title is suitable, how the title is appropriate for the poem in 3 or 4 sentences. Here the students, if the students mention the title of the poem, name of the poet, so it will be a positive thing in the appreciation of the poem. I would like to mention one significant point here in the appreciation of the poem. The extract only is given in the activity sheet without the title of the poem. So on the basis of the given extract of the poem, the students are expected to find out the title of the poem. And if the students mention this title in the first point, which is entitled about the title, here the students justify how the title is appropriate, apt, suitable for this given poem with the help of 3 or 4 sentences. The second point the students may follow while appreciating the poem is the gist of the poem, the theme of the poem. The students need to write down the central idea, what is the subject of the poem, with the help of 5 or 6 sentences giving the evidences from the given extract of the poem. The third point the students may follow here in the appreciation of the poem is poetic devices. What the students need to write in this point is that while the students have already studied the poem in the classroom, the teacher has pointed out number of figures of speech the poet has used in the poem. If the students give the evidences, give the examples of 2 figures of speech from the given extract and explain why these lines are example of such or particular figure of speech, so it would be good in the appreciation of the poem. The students may begin in this way. The poet has made variety of figures of speech in the poem, poetic devices in the poem, for example, and then the students may give the example of 2 figures of speech and explain why these lines are examples of the particular figures of speech. This is how the students need to develop, explain the third point, which is entitled as poetic devices. If the students find out something special, something focusing in the poem, so the student may use the fourth point as focusing elements in the poem or specialities in the poem. So here the student may mention for example, if the poet has not used the pairs of rhyming words in the poem, if the poet has made the use of free verse, the student may mention why the poet has used the free verse in this poem. What is the purpose behind using the style of free verse in the poem. The student may explain in 2 or 3 sentences about the use of the free verse in the poem. Secondly, in the point focusing element or specialities in the poem, the student may mention the pair of rhyming words or the rhyme scheme used by the poet in the given poem. So this is what the examiners expect in this point, focusing elements in the poem. And the next point, very important point, significant point in the appreciation of the poem is the message in the poem. So when each poem has a significant message from the poet, so when we study poem, so definitely there is one concrete, one substantial message from the poem, and therefore the students here are expected to write down the message conveyed in the poem. And the last point, the students may add, it's not compulsory, but student may add the student's self-opinion about the poem. So as the student has thoroughly studied the poem, the student can express his own opinion, his own view regarding that particular given poem in the activity sheet. And this is how, with the help of all these points about the title of the poem, then gist or theme of the poem, poetic devices used in the poem, focusing elements in the poem, message in the poem, and the student's self-opinion. So with the help of all these points, the students can write down the appreciation of the given poem. This activity also carries 4 marks. So while writing the appreciation of the poem, the students must be careful about the language the student is using in the appreciation of the poem. The student must be alert about the spellings, the words the student is making the use in the appreciation of the poem. The student should not write down the incorrect grammatical sentences, constructions in the appreciation poem, because appreciation of the poem is a kind of writing skill. It's a skill, and that is why the student should be careful while developing, while explaining all these points in the activity of appreciation of poem. So let us move to the next section, which is entitled writing skills. So it is also very significant section, writing skills. Here the students need to attempt the activities as per the given instruction. So let us look at question number 4a, complete the activities as per instruction. This sub question, question number 4a, carries 4 marks, and here the students will have 2 options, letter writing and email writing. Students have already studied how to write informal letter, formal letter in 9th and 10th standard. We have also discussed few significant things regarding letter writing in the classroom. The student will have formal letter in the examination, and there are certain steps like sender's address, receiver's address, subject. The students have to mention in the formal letter the subject is given in the activity, and on the basis of the given activity in the activity sheet, the students need to find out which is the subject of the formal letter. Once you write the subject, then the salutation, we have different kinds of salutations for informal letter and formal letter. As per the receiver, let us see who is the receiver and write down, use the correct salutation in the letter writing. Once you write the salutation, then the next step, the next part of the letter writing is main body of the letter. Here the students need to write down at least 3 paragraphs in the body of the formal letter. First, you mention what is the subject and why are you writing the letter. Then you develop that problem or the subject in the second paragraph, and the last paragraph will be the concluding paragraph. Here you request the receiver to look into the problem or whatever you demanding through this formal letter. After you writing the third concluding paragraph of the main body of the formal letter, then write down the proper subscription, suitable subscription at the end of the letter. Here also the students need to follow the rules, the norms of the grammar, spelling, so that you should not miss the marks, because this activity also carries 4 marks. Now you will have two options here. The first is formal letter and the second one is email writing. The template will be given in the activity sheet. If the template of the email will not be given in the classroom, we have already discussed what type of template the students need to use while writing the email. Email writing is one of the significant skills in the writing skills section. You have already written 2 emails in your notebook, classroom notebook. So you just look at those emails. So definitely you will be successful in writing the email in the activity sheet. You will have 2 options in question number 4A, letter writing and email writing. Let me clarify one significant thing here. The student will have to select one out of these 2 options. Either the students may select letter writing or email writing, isn't it? So only one activity the students are expected to attempt in question number 4A. If you need detailed information regarding the template of the formal letter, so you just go through the textbook at page number 23. In the letter writing, it is possible that in the activity sheet, the address of the sender as well as the receiver may be given in the activity sheet, and if the addresses of the sender and the receiver are given in the activity sheet for letter writing, the students are expected to make the use of those addresses given in the activity sheet. And if the address of the sender or the receiver is not given, then the student can use the imaginary address of the sender and receiver. While writing the address in the formal letter, the students need to be very careful about the punctuation marks, capital letters in the address particularly. So let us move to the sub question B in question number 4A. This sub question B is also based on the writing skill. Here also the student will have 2 options. The first is expansion of idea and the second one is blog writing. Here also I advise the students to select one out of these 2 given options in the activity sheet. We have already discussed in the blog how to attempt the activity based on expansion of idea. I have also explained little bit about the expansion of idea and blog writing. For more details, the student may go through the textbook and see page number 98 to 100 for expansion of idea, and for blog writing page number 101 to 104. So this is how the activities on the writing skills will be based in the activity sheet in question number 4A and B. Here also I will advise the students while attempting all these writing skills, you need to be very careful about the grammar, spelling, punctuation marks to score the maximum marks in the section writing skill. Now let us move to the last section, that is drama. So you will have question number 5A and B. In this section, the activities are totally memory based. No passage, no extract will be given in the activity sheet for this section. and that is why the students need to study this last section by heart thoroughly, so that you can write down the answers of all the activities from section number 4, that is drama. This section has 4 marks. In question number 5A, there will be one short answer activity. The student will have to write the short answer of this activity. The activity will be set on 4.1, and the students need to respond this activity within 2 or 3 sentences. So this sub question A carries 2 marks. In the sub question B, answer in about 50 words or complete the table. So here little bit change has been made. So instead of the activities where the students need to respond in about 50 words, so instead of that activity, the activity like multiple choice question has been set in question number 5B. Here the student will have 3 options. Out of these 3 options, the student will have to select one correct answer from these 3 options, and one activity carries 1 mark. So here in this sub question, question number 5B, the student will have 2 activities and 3 options will be given. Out of 3 options, the student will have to select one correct option. So this is how the format of activity sheet will be for the first term examination for 11th class student. So while attempting all these activities, students need to follow time management. As I have already told you, the time for this activity sheet is 2.5 hours, means 150 minutes. Students are advised to complete all the activities before time, so that you may have 10 minutes to ensure whether you didn't miss any single activity in the activity sheet. Students are also advised here to start each question on the separate page. Don't start the next question somewhere in the middle of the page of the answer book. Thank you.